God. It doesn't make sense to me, dude.
Sean here. I feel like absolute ass today, but I did want to give my thoughts on Cyraxx in general. When I look at somebody like Cyraxx, I really try not to be too analytical. I try to just be myself. I try not to go down a massive rabbit hole, which I always do, in the wrong direction. But I guess, weigh him in a couple different categories. Instability, obvious, we've all seen it. Violence, we've all seen it. Delusions, oh my God, we've all seen it 100 times over. And effect he has on other people. If you look at him with those four, you're gonna see this weird, strange anomaly who, no matter what he wants, no matter what he says, there is only one ever outcome, and that is the attic. He knows he doesn't want to get out of the attic. I think most, if not all of us, can agree he just wants to stay there in that safe, never have to work, never have to earn, and do his job as an independent content creator. You guys know the finish of it. He wants to pretend he's a music artist. Imagine having the option to just do this garbage, never have to go to work, never have to sweat, scream inside, die inside, and some days, and you never have to leave the bubble. You can just keep going and going because you have enablers on the outside. You look at his environment, and we all know what his environment is. It's just do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and your consequences are that occasionally Sally unplugs the internet, but now we know Chance just goes right back down there and angrily plugs it back in. With him, I do something I usually don't do. I see him as subhuman, and I dehumanize him. He does the same to everyone else, but with him it's hard. Because his actions, his behavior make me hate him, make me want to see justice, make me want to see him pay for the terrible things he does. And by pay, I don't mean physical harm, although it was nice to see Low T, but even more nice to see Marty. And I will say this about Marty. Marty won. Forever. Cyrax is the revenge type. He wants to get one up. He's always threatening to get one up. But Marty is gone. And Cyrax will never get the chance to take revenge. Ever. Let's say he was in the right. Even if Cyrax was in the right and something was going to happen legally, how's Marty going to pay? What's Cyrax going to do? Go to his grave and yell at him? Punch his headstone? No, he loses. I had to pause there. It just feels so good. And R.I.P. Marty. The fact that he still continues to focus on people much smarter than he is means he has no strategical part of his brain. And Marty was playing Stratego at all times. He doesn't have planning. The analytical part of his brain is non-functional. Although I will say that in some ways, like Lauren Armstrong, they're able to figure out things that don't matter. Like Lauren figured out how to do the messaging and MySpace and YouTube, or not YouTube, Yahoo. He was able to figure out how Messenger works, how to delete the logs, which at the time, let me take you back to the time. At the time, you had to figure it out. You had to find somebody who knew how to do it. Yeah, there were instructions, but it wasn't like, hey Google, what's the answer? Like Cyrax doesn't even know how to ask Google a question. I mean, come on. But he somehow finds a way to set up all this Xbox garbage, to be able to message people, groups, everything else, because that's what matters to him. And that's what mattered to Lauren more than anything else. They spend their time doing what they want, not what they need. It would be like getting a car and spending all of your time learning how to install nitrous, but never how to drive, never how to change a tire, do anything, never even look at the owner's manual, except maybe the part about where the nitrous goes. When he talks about he had a friend that passed away with the street racing scene, sometimes I wonder if it's Paul Walker. If he doesn't have some kind of weird parasocial relationship with Paul Walker. And when Paul died, a piece of him died. Jason David Frank, a piece of him died. All of these people he considers friends. Like when you were younger, you wanted to see whatever your favorite Zach Morris, I'll just use because Zach Morris is trash. But you've got Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. And you know they play those reruns and they've been playing them. And maybe you discovered it. And you just get to know that Screech. You get to know those characters so well. You feel like if you met him in person, you'd fit right in. He has this weird attachment with death. And I think he just uses whatever he wants, obviously, to do whatever he wants. I told you about my mom, using the whole last request thing for me to go compete in a magic contest. Well, when Sally dies, Chance is going to make some bullshit up about how Sally's last request is for him to be a big rock star and an independent content creator. And we know that's not going to be the case. It'll probably be something like, go make something of yourself. Go get a job. In Chance's mind, he's going to hear, I have a job. And I am going to be a rock star. I've got all the talent in the world. And I told you, here's another thing. At that contest, I lost to a fat guy in an afro who performed terribly, but it was funny. And there were a lot of old ladies in the audience that were giggling. And I told you the pity that they had on the fat Charlie Chaplin, who was a little person. But I give them all the credit in the world. They played to their audience. I got screwed by the one judge who came up and apologized. I don't hold any ill will. I just use that as an example whenever I talk about anything like this. Because even if Marty apologized, even if William Glory Hole, N-word boy, even if they were, slipping in a fake apology, it would do nothing but give him an excuse to do whatever he wants. There is nothing that's ever going to happen in his life that isn't an excuse to do whatever he wants, when he wants, how he wants. It's always going to be what Cyrax wants. Even if Sally had said, Chance, go get a job. I don't want you to be homeless. Make something of yourself. And the real proof is, sorry if you heard any weird noise, I'm shifting on the couch. This is kind of where I planted myself right now. Even with all of his bricked equipment, he believes he is still persevering and fighting against the system and evil forces. Instead of taking this time to reflect and say, maybe this is a message. I'm going with the whole God thing. You know how he's on the God thing right now. Go to church, learn. Instead of asking himself, is this a message? I need to go out and make something. I need to go out and touch grass. I need to go out and do something. And I hate that term, touch grass. I think Cyrax needs to get out in a group of people who are just like him. The bad kind of group where you got to sit around and talk about the bull crap you do, and then you get advice from the counselor in the middle. He needs to understand that his behavior, unfortunately, is common in this society, especially online. But he didn't use this time, and he didn't go out and get a job. He has only, again, like I said about being smart, he's only figured out how to keep doing the crap that's not working. And it's unreal. Inside of him is a broken, disappointing child who's going to cry and scream, play the victim, beg. And I do wonder if when Sally dies and he's told he needs to leave that rented house, if he doesn't think he's just going to be able to beg and they're going to have to drag me out of here. You know those tough guys. And there are a lot of them that go to prison who are like, I start handling everybody. And they end up walking around in a circle with a big dude's hand in their pocket. Cyrax may be lucky in one thing. Well, no, that's not true, because in there they don't care. I was going to say that he looks like a disgusting goblin, but he's so small, it's like some of those people who do the same things that Cyrax would do if he could, they don't care. They only care about his size. Reality has never dropped on his head. It's never been placed on his doorstep, even though it's come to his doorstep with his quote-unquote fans. And I say that quote-unquote because Cyrax does it. He has stopped acknowledging other content creators, and I think the reason why is he's realizing right now that he's in some serious trouble. He's not them. And I was checking my emails. I barely check the email that goes to my YouTube account, mainly because it just gets flooded with everything, you know, all my things I've signed up for in the past, or mailing lists I've got on that I don't want. I get those content creator emails, and they're new. I noticed they were different, I guess because I've hit over 1,000. They're still just as annoying and just as pointless. I'm still just some dude, and I'm okay with that. And when I say that, I'm okay with that. I really am. I've had my little moments of renown here and there, but honestly, when you get older, you realize that the things that matter, not a cop-out or anything. When you're younger, you think they may be a cop-out, but your kids, their lives, making sure that they're prepared, he doesn't have any responsibility, is what I'm trying to get at, which is why he's never had to be responsible. There's never been anyone who truly depended on him to survive. Even the people that may have come to his house depended on Sally and Ed. And Chance mistook that for his own reliance. You know, they relied on him. I put my career on hold. And he's always just signed a major deal because he was making big boss moves. He knows they don't rely on him. And in his head, he builds it up that you left me. Here's something you should never say to anyone who dumps you or leaves you, because psychologically you may think it gives you some kind of foothold or advantage, but it really just chases people away. I was just about to. We were just about to when I got divorced. I was just setting up, renewing our 10-year vows, thinking that was going to be a big deal and we were going to have a renewal in the relationship. But in actuality, I think it was just false hope. I don't think my heart was really into it. But I think that Cyrax thinks every situation is solved like that, having another kid. Some people's marriage is failing and they have another kid. There's someone I've known for a while, they just had a third child. And the stress, with 2 children, you can usually find some time to do what you need for yourself. When that third child hits, your life is all about those children. Finding a babysitter for 3 kids, if you have someone you trust and you know, I know this isn't what we're speaking about, but if you have somebody that you trust and you know, they'll watch your 3 children, but often it's difficult. Unless you have like your mom and she's still capable of dealing with it. Wrangling 3 kids can be exhausting. Having 25 in the different age groups in your martial arts class can also be exhausting. I will tell you something funny. It's not really funny. I'm not making fun of them. I had an autistic child in my class. If I taught him something, boom, he got it instantly. But we have dots. You know, as you go on, you realize you put dots on the floor and you tell the kids on your dot, boom, they go to the dot. Well, he had to be perfectly on his dot. And I never once got frustrated with it. I never got angry. I kind of found it funny to me because his desire for perfection, his need for perfection, it's what made him an incredible martial artist because of how much he paid attention to detail. It wasn't movie autism. It was just something that he was dealing with. He had a desire for perfection. Chance doesn't have a desire or a need, I should say, for any kind of success. All he has a need for is having a small audience. Darkside Bill has the need for, and I know you get tired of hearing his name, but people are associating these two with each other now because they're very similar. They both believe they have massive amounts of fans, and the only reason that those fans aren't there supporting them is because of trolls, detractors, which is not true. Their own behavior has chased everyone away. It's a shrinking world. Even Darkside Bill's own chat is filled with LARPers, filled with buddy trolls, right? But these people will give him money just so they can say something funny and get him to say words. I believe one of the person's name was like, I'm gay or something. I'm a gay man. And then Darkside Bill, I'm a gay man, just donated $25. And in their mind, it was worth it to get that soundbite of, I'm a gay man. I mean, come on, it's kind of genius. It actually is funny, but it puts money in this guy's pocket who begs and gets 6 figures in his account and blows it all. Chance would be the same way. Even if there were buddy trolls who gave him money because they thought his content, quote unquote, his unintentional content, that we get out of it, was hysterical, and he was doing us all a favor by keeping him afloat. There are a lot of people who make money off of Cyrax. Not a lot. I'm talking about in the community, more so than I thought. There are a whole lot of people making money off of Darkside Bill. It's a never-ending source of unintentional hilarity. And even if Cyrax had money, he would use it to further his delusions and to do things he wanted to do, not what he needed to do. There is no escape. Money, fame, not even getting a job at this point, because he wouldn't have worked his way up to be able to get a job that's going to afford him the luxury of living by himself. Any roommate is going to boot him out immediately. The smell, the noise, the staying up all night while they're trying to sleep. When you're young, you have lots of choices for roommates, most likely. And you don't have to tolerate this shit. Sally has taken the role of his mother, and she does. So at this point, Chance doesn't have the hope of being anywhere. And all the group homes are full. I think Chance will end up homeless. I don't know what's going to happen if somebody takes pity on him. If he's going to be a victim on the streets immediately and they feel for his safety and they need to get him somewhere. The worst thing for him would be if they find a spot at a halfway house, where the convicts come out and they transition back into society. I think no matter where he goes, he's going to get in trouble. Even if they see him eating out of a garbage can, like that Little Caesar story that came out where they put a sign up, don't eat out of the garbage can, you're a human being, come in, we'll give you free food. If Chance can find something like that, he'll just go out on the streets all day and walk around and be a menace, as long as his food is guaranteed. So at the end of the day, I don't remember who said that, but it was a creator that just said that at all times. At the end of the day, it's ultimately on Chance, and he's made so many mistakes and such a mess of his life that it's too late. And I think even if this group decided they suddenly wanted to help and really push and get this big movement going on to get him help, I think it's too late. I really do. I don't think he's going to get help. It's going to be mandatory help, which is never good. Assistance is what I mean. He's not going to get assistance. He's going to get help. And help is needed when you're in serious shit. Assistance is needed when you can reach your goal, but you need a little push. Anyways, that's my general thoughts on Cyrax. I'll see you guys in the next one.
It doesn't make sense to me, dude.